If you soldier love Warhammer as much as I do, then subscribe and like this video. Thanks, brother. Part 2. Depths of Betrayal. As dusk fell after the battle on Frostguard, a sinister silence descended like a grim shroud over the ruins of the ancient city. The Space Wolves, battered by the recent brutal clash, gathered their waning strength to restore order in the chaos left behind by the bloodshed. Yet even in these fleeting moments of calm, an unsettling anxiety gripped their hearts. The shadow of betrayal, so familiar from bitter memories, loomed over their ranks. Standing amid the shattered remains of the palace, Grimnar saw not only the scars of battle, but also echoes of dark secrets hidden deep within his soul. His icy eyes reflected the sorrow of loss, intermingled with a resolve forged in the fires of war. His thoughts drifted back to that fateful fight when betrayal had touched him personally, a treachery that served as a grim warning that the enemy might not always come from without. In one of the remote corners of the ruins, among the remnants of ancient columns and charred manuscripts, a group of space wolves discovered a strange and foreboding place. It was an ancient temple, once dedicated to a forgotten god, its ruined walls echoing with vestiges of a lost faith. The air was heavy here, filled with the scent of burning resin and ancient rituals, and the walls bore reliefs depicting scenes of treachery and vengeance.
Tormag, the young warrior already scarred by the bitterness of past betrayals, paused before these ruins. His mind was awash with memories of that terrible day when one of his closest comrades, seduced by the lure of darkness, turned his back on brotherhood. That wound left a mark not only on his body, but deep within his soul, awakening anger and pain that threatened to shatter the fragile boundary between man and the chaos of inner darkness.
"Captain," Tormag murmured, his voice blending with the cold whisper of the wind. "Here, among these ruins, I sense a presence, something that tells us betrayal can come from the most unexpected sources. We must remain vigilant."
Grimnar's met Tormag's gaze, eyes filled with determination and sorrow. He understood that these words were not mere expressions of anxiety, but omens of a new threat lurking in the shadows of their own brotherhood. At that very moment, a barely discernible sound, like the echo of a long-forgotten whisper, emanated from deep within the temple. Its source remained unknown, yet its presence portended the awakening of something sinister. Before long, the squad discovered that the temple harbored not only oblivion, but an active force. Ancient runes on the walls began to flicker with a faint, ghostly light, as if striving to revive a primordial memory. This light penetrated the very hearts of the Space Wolves, reminding them that even in the hour of greatest sorrow, a spark of faith and courage can be kindled. Yet with that spark came a growing dread, a fear that this ancient evil, once awakened, might again defy their sacred oath. Unexpectedly, from the depths of the temple emerged a figure draped in a cloak of shadows, as if roused from a long slumber. Its eyes, shimmering with a cold light, appeared vacant, yet held an unfathomable sorrow, like the silent weeping of the fallen. This figure, driven by an unknown force, seemed to have arisen from the very heart of oblivion to strike at the ranks of the Space Wolves once more. "Traitors do not sleep," Grimnars whispered, a chill coursing down his spine. His voice, though soft, carried an unwavering certainty. "This enemy is not of flesh. It is the embodiment of our fears and doubts, the specter of one who once betrayed us. Its appearance is no coincidence." In that instant, a surge of fury enveloped the warriors, and the tension in the air transformed into an electric storm of emotion. Suddenly, the temple reverberated with a dreadful clang, and from its dark corridors, the sounds of battle began to echo. Instinctively, the Space Wolves prepared to counter the assault of this unknown foe. Grimnars raised his sword and commanded his men to attack, and in that moment the battle erupted, merging raw physical violence with an overwhelming psychological horror. Deep within the temple, the struggle unfolded with each second steeped in the agony of betrayal. One by one, the warriors confronted manifestations of their own inner demons. As they clashed with the dark figure, they saw in it the images of past suffering, those who had lost their faith, those who had fallen prey to doubt and fear. Every swing of a blade, every burst of plasma, served as a reminder that true evil may reside not only outside but within each of them. Fighting side by side, Grimnars and Tormag became emblems of the indomitable will of the Space Wolves. In their eyes shone not only the fury of battle, but also the deep sorrow of loss. Grimnars felt his heart constrict as he witnessed his brothers fall one by one, their faces contorted by pain and despair. Yet even when it seemed that darkness would consume them entirely, the fire in their hearts burned undiminished. "We cannot allow this evil to return!" bellowed Grimnars, his voice rolling like thunder. "Our souls are tempered in the crucible of battle, and we shall fight to our last breath to defend the legacy of the Space Wolves." With those words, he plunged into the fray, each stroke of his sword imbued with a fierce determination to eradicate the betrayal incarnate in the dark figure. In that brutal encounter, there was no room for weakness. Every warrior sacrificed himself for the sacred faith and the honor they had sworn to uphold. Meanwhile, deep within the temple, the dark figure began to recede, as if its very presence were ephemeral. Yet every time it faded into shadow, the sense of unfinished business and betrayal lingered. The Space Wolves realized that this battle was not merely a confrontation with a phantom, but a struggle with the demons within their own souls. Each of them understood that betrayal could penetrate even the heart of the most hardened warrior, and that only redemption through unending combat could restore their lost honor.
The conflict within the temple became a symbol of the eternal struggle between light and darkness. Every swing of a sword, every burst of plasma wove threads into the intricate tapestry of fate, where past and present merged into one unbreakable narrative. Grimnars felt as if time itself had stilled, and it seemed that the very universe was watching their struggle, ready to acknowledge their sacrifice with a reverent sigh.
At last, as the dark figure, drained of its strength, began to retreat, silence descended upon the temple once more. The Space Wolves, bleeding yet unbowed, paused to catch their breath. In their hearts, filled with pain and exhaustion, a soft, nearly imperceptible voice echoed. The voice of betrayal, a reminder that even in the brightest of times, darkness always lurks just around the corner. Surveying his warriors, Grimnars understood that this battle was only a harbinger of an even greater threat. He looked into Tormag's eyes and saw not only gratitude, but also the silent understanding that the path of the Space Wolves would forever be strewn with thorns of betrayal and pain, and that true strength lay in not yielding before one's own darkness. "Our journey is far from over," Grimnars murmured, his voice laden with determination and sorrow. "We have battled not only an external foe, but the demons within ourselves. If this darkness has not yet consumed our souls, then we can still bring light to this bleak world." And so, against the clamor of clashing armor and the distant echoes of battle, the Space Wolves surged forward once more, ready to face whatever trials awaited them. Every drop of blood spilled on these hallowed lands became not merely a sacrifice, but a symbol of indelible memory. A testament that even in the deepest darkness, a spark of hope can ignite and blaze forth in the flame of eternal struggle. Thus continued their epic saga, where ancient runes inscribed with blood and pain told the tale that the true battle never ends. It was a struggle not only for the land and honor, but for the very essence of the soul, a legacy destined to be etched into the annals of the universe. After the dark figure in the temple had retreated, the remnants of the battle were stained with blood and the spirit of loss. Yet the war was far from over. In the night, filled with echoes of the past, the space wolves felt the darkness gathering around them once more, as if the very universe foretold a new catastrophe. Hidden threats, like shadows of betrayal, began to slowly creep into the warriors' hearts.
Rising from the rubble, Grimnar sensed a sinister call emanating from the depths of an abandoned fortress complex looming beneath Frostguard's grim sky. His intuition, hardened by countless battles, whispered to him, "Here, in this ancient citadel, lurks an ancient, insatiable evil, capable of consuming not only the physical realm, but the very souls of the warriors." Every step toward the fortress was laden with tremendous weight, yet the duty to the Emperor and the burning desire for vengeance against betrayal would not allow retreat. Amidst the ruins, scarred remnants of past conflicts, the Space Wolves moved as one living entity, united by a common purpose. Tormag, still bearing the scar of past treachery, sank ever deeper into his personal torment. Visions of pain and betrayal haunted him like relentless shadows. He saw the faces of fallen brothers, heard their silent moans, and every echoing footstep reminded him of fate's cruelty. Yet it was precisely this pain that tempered his soul, rendering his resolve as unyielding as steel.